Welcome to environmental scanning. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about outside of process. And this is going to be a two-part session. This first one's probably going to be a little bit long, but there wasn't an easy way to split it. So I'm just going to dive right in. Um, so environmental scanning, it is a fancy word for just knowing what's going on in and around your business and industry and world. So there are some resources out there like books and one-pagers, but there really isn't much, which is unfortunate because it's a very useful topic to talk about. And while it may seem obvious that it really is something that you can get in depth into. I mean, I had a semester in college in my undergrad dedicated to the topic, and our final project, so it was a group project, we had it was 120 pages, and that was without images included. So there's a lot you can talk about when it comes to environmental scanning. So it's intense, but it can be very easy once you get used to doing it all the time. It just takes time and awareness and the ability to think outside the box. So environmental scanning is just that constant analysis of what's going on around you. So you're going to look for threats, weaknesses, opportunities, all of that type of stuff regarding your business. And there's a good chance that you're already performing this on a very basic level. I mean, unless you're walking around with your eyes closed, like you are kind of aware of what's going on, but this is kind of helping you read in between the lines and get an edge in your competition. And that's what this is all about. So, this is an ongoing process, and it can be formal and informal. You can write it down. Some people have journals where they write everything down. Some people just kind of, keep mental notes of what's going on. And this is not something that you just do once a year. This is something that you should do every day, if not multiple times a day. So there's many ways to perform this, and there's many of sources of information out there. We've got just your regular news, whether it's print or on TV. We've got blogs, industry emails, podcasts, word of mouth, all of that stuff. It's a really good idea to spread it out across multiple sources because everybody has a bias. Every news source has a bias. Every podcast has a bias. So getting different perspectives is going to be helpful. Because you want to think outside the box and definitely think outside of your echo chamber. And you want to challenge yourself to view what's going on in and around you from different perspectives. And so that's what looking at multiple types of news and all of that will be helpful. Especially nowadays, everything's very divisive, and you might not have any desire to listen to these outside sources, but outside of what you're comfortable with, but it's going to help your business. So you're not there to get their opinion on whatever's happening. You just want to know what's happening. You form your own opinion based on that. So how do you perform that? You pick your sources, you watch, listen, read, whatever it is, do that regularly. And then you're finding ways to keep yourself informed. And as a small business owner, you're probably already very short on free time. So you can do things like listen to podcasts while you drive, or get recaps of information from friends or colleagues, or you can even like split it up between colleagues and other connections in your network, and have like Facebook groups where it's everything dedicated to finding out information on X, Y, or Z related to your business, whatever it is. There's a lot of other webinars and online presentations that you can view, YouTube videos, all that stuff. Just think about all the different areas that you could, the different types of media that you could consume to get that information. You want to make sure that you're thinking about how timely it is, because some information that you get today isn't going to be of any use to you tomorrow. So just think about that as you're listening or reading whatever it is that whatever news source you're using. So after you start listening to the various forms of media, reading, media, et cetera, you want to think about how it's going to potentially impact your business, or how it's currently impacting your business. So that impact could be positive or negative. Again, this could be something that you could take advantage of to increase your market share, or get ahead of your competition, or could be something that you are going to be proactive about a threat or something to your business or industry. And again, this isn't an hour-long process. You don't need to sit down and dedicate a really significant amount of time to it. You're just scanning articles, you're scanning the news, making quick notes, and you know, if you want to dive into something a little bit deeper, you can. But the way that we always did it when I was in school, we had a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, and over on the side there was, you know, just kind of like the bullets, like here's all the top stories that are happening, and we would just kind of scan that, see if there's anything in there that would make sense. We were only using the Wall Street Journal, but I would suggest that you use multiple news sources for your information. You want to look in the political landscape to see, you know, things like if there's any regulations or tax changes or anything that's coming down the pike that could affect your business. And again, when I say looking in between, like when you're reading in between the lines, like something that is happening, let's say in Congress right now, a new law they're passing or an executive order that's being, you know, signed or whatever it is, it might not be something that's going to directly impact your particular industry, but it might have some sort of cascading domino effect on your industry, you know, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever it is, because it's going to hit another industry, which will hit another industry, which then might hit your industry or something like that. You want to look obviously in the economic landscape. So this is going to be customers' buying habits, changes in disposable income. That could go back to the tax changes. If they loosen taxes for the middle class, is that going to help people who buy your product, et cetera? Technology, that's a no-brainer. You want to see what's new, what's changing, what's upcoming, what you can expect. So there's what they call Moore's Law, and this is just kind of an example. You don't want to think about it, but Moore's Law was that every, I want to say it's like 18 to 24 months, the computing power essentially doubles. And there were a lot of businesses in the like early 90s and into the 2000s who were technology businesses, like let's say Microsoft, who were building products for technology that didn't exist because they knew that it was going to exist by the time that they were done building that product. So that's something that, you know, that's thinking ahead right there. So that's what you want to do. Let's talk about culture. So that's going to be trends in diet, clothing, any kind of, you know, trends and what people do, how they dress, etc. Political culture as well. So that's different in the political landscape. So think about politics and how that affects people. And then anything that's just specific to your industry as well. You want to think big when you're doing this and then get really specific later as you're kind of honing in on how you can take advantage of something. So, prior to 2020, I'm sure there was something out there called pandemic insurance. And the reason why I'm sure about that is because I know that business interruption insurance used to include basically pandemics until the SARS outbreak in the early 2000s. Then they cut that out. So if a pandemic happens and you have business interruption insurance, you're out of luck because that was written out of that insurance. So that's something else that you could potentially buy. But is that something that you might have to buy moving forward? Is that something that, you know, if you're in one of those industries, service industry, real estate, something that was affected by the pandemic significantly, are you going to be required to have that type of insurance? So something you need to think about. And let's say you sell insurance. Is that something that you should look into becoming an expert at? Because not everybody knows that much about pandemic insurance. I don't know. Something to think about. Again, this isn't about opinion. So if you, regardless of which way you lean on the political spectrum, you should go consume news on the other side just to get a different point of view, because what's being reported might be different based upon where you go. And again, you're going for facts, not opinion. So all you want to know is what is happening. You don't care what their opinion is on what's happening. You just want to know what is going on. So most sources are going to give you at least the who, what, when of the event. Some might omit them, you know, who knows? So that's why you want more than one, just so you can kind of get a better idea from multiple angles of what's going on. And I mean, industry related podcasts, blogs, and correspondence are good to get information, but and you know, they're generally unbiased about what's going on because they want, you know, you to be able to make your own decision and be successful, but they might not be timely, and often that's information that's been consumed and digested and presented by somebody else. So I say it's unbiased because it's, you know, about your industry, but again, it might be somebody who's trying to be overly optimistic about the future of that industry. So that's it for the first video on environmental scanning. We're going to have one more video about this to talk about the output.